Welcome to my channel. I know I have a lot of new viewers, specifically from Maria's channel from Poland. How do you say hi in Polish?
Cześć.
Cześć. Thank you for joining my channel, and yes, it's a health-focused channel, mostly on vegan, travel, and I'm just really happy to have you here, because if you're following Maria, you're probably really cool people. Okay.
Thank you.
So a topic that I've been wanting to discuss are our favorite children's books, and I got really excited because Maria said this is a topic that she's really interested in reading, specifically books, but also young adult books to like illustrated books, the whole spectrum. So I had to hop on the opportunity to talk about this topic with her. Favorite books is definitely one called Dinotopia. The author of Dinotopia is James Gurney, and this is one of the first illustrated books that I came across. It's beautifully illustrated, and it really got me into illustration eventually. So it's a big inspiration for me, but it's a really cool storyline too. It's about this father who has two sons, and they're from England, and they get shipwrecked on this island.
Oh,
and
that's
it's civilization of humans that have coexisted with dinosaurs. So they have all these cool jobs together, like different languages that are in different foot font, like they'll step on sand to like talk to each other. Yeah, there's like festivals they do together, and it's just filled with so much imagination, and it really, at the same time, seems almost believable the way that he illustrates it, and he puts captions next to all of his illustrations. So it's a really cool book. Anybody who's really into really good fantasy, I would say, or dinosaurs, just check it out. And another one of my favorite books, The Little Prince, which is a French book, which is
we have it
Le
too.
Petit Prince. It's a pretty well-known book, and I think that's great for the age group. We were talking about this earlier. Really young, because it's just cool to see the character and meet all these other characters on these planets.
Yeah, like
And then
traveling between the planets is such a cool concept when you're like 5. Oh, I want to go to Mars. Oh, I want to go to the moon. And he like hops to different planets. And,
yeah, and I really also like the way that it's illustrated too. It's like loose, but it's pretty at the same time. It's a really cute book, and it has a really good lesson at the end of the story. And then I was going to say it's good for adults too, because it also talks about analogies, but put into the perspective of adulthood. So like each planet he visits is like property of land, for example, like just property, like owning something in general, and he questions all these things of adulthood. So I recommend that book for young or old. I like that one a lot.
Well, I feel like I read it in a really bad time because it was a school reading, and then we just had to read it at this point, and then I didn't really understand the analogies, and I was too old to be entertained by actually the story is, like the baseline of the story without the analogies. I was like, why are we even reading this?
Yeah.
And then when the teacher started to talk about, like this planet explains something, and it's like an analogy for something else, and it's like a problem in the world. I didn't really get that. I didn't like it at that time, and I don't feel like I would go back to it just because my memories with it is like, it was boring.
So it probably has this feeling of force. Like
yeah,
you
exactly.
had to read it.
Exactly. I had to read it.
I remember so many books that I read in school that ended up developing those feelings.
Yeah.
Like,
but maybe one day I will go back to it.
Yeah,
Like,
maybe.
who knows? It's not a bad book. I just read it in not the right time.
I think everybody also has their preferred preference for a book. So, like, I love the watercolor style it has to it. It's very dreamlike, and how it explains like a good relationship too, like the main character taming the fox, and it kind of goes into like how you have to tame friendships before you can call it something. Otherwise, it's just a stranger. So I guess I'm like more like poetic books, but if you're more of like a hardcore adventure book, I think that's more up your alley.
I'm so that.
Yeah.
I hate poetry. I never understand poetry. I don't like to like have to look for the meaning of something, and I don't like to find meanings in between the lines.
See, I love that. I love in between the lines stuff.
No,
And then my third book I really like that I recommend, and it's actually specifically geared more towards young adults, because there is sex and gore that kind of is in the book as well, but it's called Treason, and it's by Orson Scott Card, and he does the series Ender's Game, which is very popular as well.
Oh, I like it.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite series too. I like that one. But this is like a very underrated book that just never blew up in popularity. I just realized all three of these books I mentioned have movies. So that's kind of cool. Treason does have a movie, but Ender's Game does have a movie. The reason why I like this book is because it's packed with adventure, but it's also really mingled with meaning and like reading between the lines once again. So it covers like spirituality, but a young adult. Like I read it when I was in high school, like I think sophomore year, and I really liked it. And it's a sci-fi book. It has to do with, once again, going to different planets. And it's about all these different races that could have superpowers, basically. And the main character could regenerate body parts. So just to give you like a basis, it's about a prince, once again, who's going to different planets. But he's in a situation where he's exiled, and he has to basically figure out his life. And meeting all these other different kinds of people really connects the dots, but it's definitely worth checking out. So those are my 3 favorite books. Let me know if you like them or if you have read them.
So the first book from my childhood that really changed my life, so it's Dzieci z Bulewy, you guys know what I'm talking about. And in English, I don't know what's the title in English, but it's like Children from Bulerbyn or something, because Bulerbyn is the name of the town they live in. So this book is about 6 kids, and they live like about 100 years ago in Sweden, I think, yeah, in Sweden. And it's like the village has just 3 houses, and there are 3 kids in one house, 2 kids in the second house, and just 1 kid in the third house, and they are all best friends. They are just living like their childhood dream life. Not like dream life because they are so rich and they can afford everything, but dream life because they can play and hang out and they don't really have that many problems. And sometimes there are like some problems with adults, but they're like really tiny minor problems, so it's really a happy book, and I really enjoy happy books.
Yeah.
So when I was a child, I just loved that book so much. And the chapters there are super short. They are like 3 pages or 2 pages or 4 pages, so it's very easy for kids to read it. And that was the first book I read that I really liked. And this book introduced me to reading, and after I read that, I was reading all the time, just all the time. And before that, I just hated reading. So I guess that book was very important to me, and it's just so happy, and it also gives you some ideas of what you can do with your friends when you're outside. Oh, really? Yeah, because there were like no computers, no phones, so I just love this book until today. And then the second book, it's by the same author. Her name is Astrid Lindgren, and it's Pippi Longstocking.
Classic.
Yes, I just love this book so much. So I feel like this book really gave me strength, because Pippi is like, she doesn't care what other people think, she does her own things. She's very weird or crazy, like some people see her and like, what's wrong with her? But she's like just really happy and doing what she likes. So I feel like because I read those books, I felt like I can also be like that. And I can do my own thing. I can be happy doing things that other people don't usually do, and they find them weird or strange or like crazy. So up to like until now, I still have like piece of Pippi Longstocking in my heart, and I feel like
I can see it.
Yeah, and even when I was younger, I always was wearing 2 braids, and then that guy at the gas station who was putting the fuel to our car, because we sometimes have those people, they help you. So he told me that I look like Pippi Longstocking. I was like, thank you so much! The best compliment I got in my whole life!
Okay, what's your third one?
It's really difficult to decide because I have so many. You know Judy Moody books?
Yeah.
I love them so much, and I was reading them all the time when I was little. library, and my friend was like, "Oh, you have to read this book. This is so good." Because I had that friend, and we would go to library every single day after school.
Oh, cool.
She recommended that book to me. I started reading it, and then I was like, "This is so boring. How can you read that?" But after a few months, I gave it a second try, and I just fell in love with it.
Really? Was it a different book that you tried?
No, I just you really need to read a few pages before you are really into the story, and the author, she has her own style of writing, I guess. So at the beginning, I just felt like I don't like the way she formulates sentences. It's just something like it wasn't a book that I would read. But then when I read more and more, it was better and I liked it. And then I read like maybe 10 books of Treason series.
Yeah, it's a pretty big series. I had some friends who were really, really into that series. I never read it because it wasn't a little like too out of the world for me. Because I really liked books like about pirates and going to different planets, and
Okay.
so it's a little hard for me to sit down and like read a book about just a really good life. But I could totally see why that would be attractive, because I remember flipping through the pages and just seeing how playful it was. And I was
Yeah,
really
exactly.
attracted to that. It was very uplifting. So yeah, I think if you really like uplifting books,
I
Maria
love uplifting books.
suggested some really, really good ones. And if you're into like more intense or like reading in between the lines, or you know that your kid does or that you like to, heck, I still like to look through children's books, doesn't matter how old you are, then maybe some of my recommendations would be more up your alley. Did you ever read Magic Treehouse books?
No.
Oh, okay. I wonder if they're big in Poland. But those are really big, at least when I was young, and I'm 24. And those are really cool. It was about a brother and sister who would go in this magic treehouse and it would take them to a different time period.
Oh wow,
Yeah,
that's
they'd
so
have-
cool. I
yeah,
never heard of that.
It's so cool. And they would have adventures in this time period. And then they would come back, and sometimes it'd even be like some more mythical things in the time period. Sometimes it'd be really accurate, and sometimes it'd be like dragons and more fun things like that. So that's another recommendation. I read like 10 of those books and I love them.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I should read them now.
You should. You probably get a lot of inspiration from it for your books. That's another thing. So Maria has her own books. She's written, and she's on the second one.
Yeah, I'm publishing the second one May 9th, and then the third one, I'm still writing it.
Would you like to tell us a little bit more about your books? Because I'm sure your channel has heard of it, but mine hasn't. But I want to shed some light on it. a little
Okay.
bit.
Okay, so my first book is about 3 children. They are 9, 12, and 13. And they go to that airplane and they all fly to Australia, and on their way, the airplane just starts to disappear and no one knows what's going on. There are like giant holes in it and like, oh my gosh! And then everyone just jumps to the ocean. Those 3 kids land on that island, and all of the other people don't, because the island is magical and only wizards can enter it, and only wizards can see it. So yeah, they end up there and they're like, we have no idea what's going on, because they didn't even know they are wizards. So they discover it on the island, and they discover they have some magical powers and they have to save the wizard world. Well, the story is more complex than that. It always goes back to saving the world in many books.
Cool. It definitely sounds like a book I would have loved to read as a kid, because I liked Harry Potter, so I probably would have liked that.
The second book is about a 14-year-old boy, and he can see ghosts. So the story is that he goes to Warsaw, which is the capital of Poland, and like his parents sent him there to live with his aunt and uncle and their 5 daughters. So that's a pretty crazy story, because then he has to live in the attic, and then the girls are just crazy. They are from 4 years old to I think 16. I don't even remember when I wrote it, but it happens a lot to me.
Sure.
Yeah, so then he has to deal with all of those girls at home, and then he meets a pirate at the attic, and he's a ghost, and
cool.
he helps him to deal with his situation, and then they have to save the ghost world. So another world saving
Nice.
book.
That sounds really
Yeah.
cool. Did you ever watch a show, Danny Phantom? No. Oh, dude, it sounds just like Danny Phantom, but like...
And you know the main character's name is Danny.
Oh my god. That's so crazy.
I didn't even know that show like this exists.
I'll
So
send it to you. Except it's a box ghost that ends up getting sent. He's like a box manufacturer. It's like really random. It's pretty funny. So what are your books called and where can we find them?
the first one is called Island X. So in Polish,
That's a cool name.
Wyspa X. And it's only on one Polish website because I send it to everyone on my own. It's not in the bookstores, it's just in one place. And the second book, when it's gonna be published, it's gonna be everywhere in Poland. So if you live in Poland, you can just go to any good bookstore and you can find it, or like online as well. But in America, unfortunately, I mean, I can send my books to you guys in America. Like, I don't have a problem with that, but it's not in bookstores or anything. So one day it will be.
That's
I
the
really
goal.
hope. Yeah, that's the goal.
I believe in you. Alright guys, thanks for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you're new to my channel, please subscribe. I cover a lot of different topics, but mostly on terms of health and veganism, and interesting topics for self-development as well. And subscribe to Maria's channel as well and check her stuff out. She does a lot of really good dancing and food prep and travel. So many good things.
Yeah.
Alright, till next time. Bye!
Bye.